Let's see. Can I get this microphone in a better position? Okay. Okay. I might have to turn my shit up. Maybe now it's good. Let me check Alza Mixer. Oh, that's too low. That's way too low. Okay. 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 Here we go. Yes. Now I can talk at normal volume-ish and have the shit actually look like it's going up to a decent level. Let me let people know that we are on.
Bullshit. Shoutouts to TFNet. Shoutouts to everyone who's ever doubted me. You're going down. Killing this shit every single fucking day. If you have a God, son, now is the time to pray. This isn't a game. I don't have time to play. Listen up closely, son. I have something to say. Sick of these fucking haters acting like they don't know what is up. I'ma bust a move, get into the groove. Gonna show you all what the fuck I'm made of. Motherfuckers come around me acting like they don't know what is up. Get into my brain, gonna feel the pain. Guess what time it is? Time to fuck you up. Hey yo, you ever heard about the evil dojo? I heard that dojo's run by a little get pimp with a limp though. A fucking slow pull tramp sneaking creeping on the tiptoe when he is stoned in his home, when he is alone, when he's on that rap microphone. Hey yo, put your hands up if you're down with the sick flow. Hey yo, it's Dark Mage and this my evil dojo. Hey yo, looking for some money and some sick hoes. Hey yo, I'll teach you things that I bet you didn't even know. Hey yo, put your hands up if you're down with the sick flow. Hey yo, it's Dark Mage and this my evil dojo. Hey yo, looking for some money and some sick hoes. Hey yo, I'll teach you things that I bet you didn't even know.
Yeah. We cooking. All right, so we have officially began the pivot from Skull.exe, a side-scrolling shooter, to what I previously had titled back in 2013 Project A. So Project A was the procedural dungeon crawler that I was working on for iOS at the time. The code base is actually still up online. So take a look over here. Project A iOS was, as you can see, my last commit was 11 years ago. It's been a long fucking time since I did this. This is back when I was trying to go by Geek In, which was a play on the Sikh religion. It stood for Get It Click House, because we were the Get It Click, and this was our house. So that was the original idea. I wish I still had some of the gameplay footage. I actually had 24 stars and 7 people watching it and 3 forks. Who actually forked it? It said that it had been forked, but oh, there we are. So we actually had 3 people fucking fork it, which is crazy. 24 stars. These are all the people that starred that repo. It's not like it's that many, but it's certainly a testament that I've done something, right? And a lot of this code was trash. A lot of the ways that I was doing things just could have been so much better, but it worked. And for what I did have here, it was coming together. Everything was separated out into its own object. And I mean everything. But one thing that I had noticed comparing it to how I've been working on stuff recently is that there is a similarity here with how we have split up the different screens in the game. So that's actually kind of interesting. Our title screen, for instance. How does this... So there's like almost nothing here, right? I think the title screen was simply meant to display like literally pre-constructed labels and initialize like some menu items and register them with the notification center. The way that you do inter-object communications in Objective-C. Oh, thank you. The way that those communications are done. It's very weird. Everything had to be done through the NS notification center. And we're going to have a similar type of messaging system for processing events in the in this new version. Something similar. So we had this entire class for game renderer, which I no longer do things this way. The nice thing about raylib is that a lot of the draw functionality can be encompassed into different chunks that get called in different areas. So there's no need to have a render manager if you don't want to do things that way. It's like, for instance, set tile does all of this functionality based off of what tile type you pass in. So given a reference to or a pointer to a tile, and a pointer to its associated sprite on the screen, because everything was done in a way where all you had to do was actually draw to like individual cells, which would be really ideal for what we want to do here. So one of the first goals for getting started again is drawing a checkerboard tile pattern on the floor in order to get a feel for the size of the cells. So if the tile actually has an entity on it, depending on what type of entity it is, after you draw the tile, then you draw whatever object it is on top of that. So set all tiles, for instance, runs through and correctly draws each tile at each location on the screen, dependent upon where in the map you happen to be at. Set all visible tiles. Because one of the things that I'd like to re-implement into this game is the lighting system, which I thought was actually quite clever and created for a very unique experience. I noticed that my bandwidth keeps dipping out, so I don't know what's up with that. I have too much stuff running, maybe. Nah, it's fine. Let's get some background music on. Sick flow. Y'all don't even know about the motherfucking code that I already wrote a long time ago when I was stoned in my fucking home. Tetragram a tone when I'm in the zone on the microphone. Y'all already know my motherfucking name. It's Dark Mage of Evil Dojo. So one of the problems that we face with this idea that I'd like to implement, right, is the ability to zoom in and out of the texture. So when we're actually setting the scale of the scene, this has to do with all of the elements that are actually in the scene, right? So let's hop on over to game.cpp. Take a look at handle input. So this calls handle input for whatever scene we have to be on, right? So in gameplay scene, handle input currently does, we have the debug panel flip and we have the toggle full screen, right? But we want to be able to zoom in and out of the scene in general, right? So if we wanted to do like a global update on the zoom for a particular scene, we would need a special function for this. The reason being is we'd have to go through and actually update all of the assets that have been instantiated in the scene. So if we wanted to like increment scale, and we wanted to do it by, or we want to do set scale, for every asset in our sprites, we have to do it this way, but oh. No, we don't want to zoom out. I want to zoom in to start with. Okay, so that works pretty good. It would be interesting to experiment with like a 3D idea in the future using sprites in this fashion, kind of like triangle strategy or something like that. But now, for things to scale properly, we would also want the checker pattern to scale along with this, right? So if our base checker pattern is all centered around 32 by 32, right? And our dude fits inside of there perfectly to start with. Then when we zoom in, we also want the checker pattern to conform to what we're doing here. So const int unit equals 32. Const float scaled unit and actually, because everything has to be pixel based, so now instead of 32 here, we're going to say scaled unit. Hi, baby. Grandma's dog just woke up. Hey, baby. How you doing? You thirsty? You need some more? Let's see. Let's see if this works. Well, at certain points it shows that he still fits, but you also notice that the relative position shifts as well. So when we first spawn him, we should do it in 0, 0 just to have a better baseline. See, there things kind of line up, but in order to effectively maintain this, we're gonna have to draw things in a certain way. So that's 2x, that's 3x, and that's 4x. But the size of the tiles is kind of big, isn't it? Right? For how large the or how large the the tile is and the sprite is relative. We don't necessarily want the tile to take up the whole size of the sprite, right? So we're doing everything around 32. Reason being, 32 goes into 1280, evenly. What if we did 24? That's not so even. Now, obviously, 16 would be even still. What about 20? Okay, 20 is not bad. And 720, obviously 20 would go into that, so we could try 20 as a unit here. Oh, 2020 was too big. No, I meant 20. So now it looks a little bit more appropriate, but effectively for the way that we're trying to draw and position things where the player is kind of, it looks like the camera's kind of at an angle so that it's not totally on top of the player, but it looks like it's angled at a certain direction. In order to achieve this effect, the size of the tiles cannot be so large as to be the size of the player. As you can see, this is starting to look correct. And the way we can probably envision it is that part of the player is going to be popping into the tile above, right? So for effective placement, we're going to need an offset. Because eventually we're going to have to do this one-to-one translation between the player's position in the dungeon space and his position on the screen. And of course the camera comes into this as well, but so long as we have a layer of logic in between the handling of the drawing and the management of the dungeon, and the math is correct, this won't be a problem. So let's talk about offsets, right? So we want to create like an offset for both the X and the Y. And I think all we have to do actually is really mess with the Y a little bit. So if we're drawing everything at 24, then why not let's give an offset of 12 and see what that does. But the offset has to be scaled. Or does it? Yeah, because the further we zoom in, it looks like he's more and more on top. So maybe it needs to be like 24. Or no, because the size of those is actually 20. So now he's much further down. But now you can see the position doesn't correctly translate. So we would want to also be able to shift in the opposite direction. Hmm. Hmm. That's weird. Oh. This is weird. So for some reason the scale is not being properly updated. Oh, is it like immediately undoing it? Oh. I bet that's what's happening. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Oops. Okay. Now, if we can just get the position right. So we would have to be tracking a relative position for the player in order for this scale to properly update, right? So whenever we zoom in or out, we're gonna have to update the player's position. So every time we're gonna have to recalculate those positions if we want to have a very smooth zooming system here. So eventually I'm going to make a separate object for the actual dungeon, right? But as an example of this, let's do some real ghetto coding. Like some real gritty, just wedge some shit in there. Const and grid. Yeah, let's do a 2x2. Testing. Something's causing line feedback really bad. gonna try unplugging my microphone and plugging it back in again. Testing. Damn, I still got that line feedback. I don't know what the fuck that is. I haven't changed any of my settings. Oh, it's probably because of the new fucking microphone position. It's probably touching something that's causing feedback here. Ah, fuck. I should have really debugged this shit before I started streaming. Y'all can see what I'm cooking, though. I think I'll take a break to debug those issues and grab a bite to eat. Until next time.